Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this Thursday's edition of Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Percy. I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, hazardous weather graphics not showing anything. There are no watches, warnings, or advisories anywhere around the state for tonight and tomorrow. I haven't seen a clear one of these with none of that on there for quite some time, but it is today and may last into the weekend. On satellite imagery, you can see a lot of mostly mid and high level clouds, especially this portion streaming off to the northeast. There are some lower clouds in through here, a little bit of moisture, but nothing too much up along the Brooks Range, a little upslope action there, giving some scattered isolated light snow showers around the Adak Anatuvik area. And then back down to the south, a little more extensive area of light snow into the Kuskokwim Valley, which turns to rain toward King Salmon, and then some sprinkles getting into Kamishak Bay and a few showers around Kodiak Island. Nothing really heavy at all, everything under about 1/10 of an inch water equivalent wise along this band. And then to the east, sunny skies, south central Alaska, Cook Inlet, actually northern Cook Inlet. I start picking up some clouds down along the coast there at Cordova and Yakutat. Cloudy skies this afternoon. You can actually see the clouds here kind of slipping on down across the southeast coast. They're really not making it onshore, at least by mid-afternoon today. So clear skies, Elfin Cove, Sitka, and most areas over the inland part of the state. But the southern panhandle seeing the warmest temperatures today with highs or mid-afternoon temperatures in the lower 60s. In some cases, mid to upper 60s, as in Shelter Cove, it's 68 degrees this afternoon. Otherwise, Klawock 62 and 61 at Ketchikan for a couple other locations. And a little cooler up to the north in the 40s and 50s, head up toward Juneau. And of course, in the 40s, lower to mid 40s in the cloud-covered areas along the coastline. And then a break behind this weak system, kind of a weak upper trough, upper low actually centered down just south of Kodiak Island, with a trough axis extending to the north-northeast. I'll be slowly shifting eastward, and we've got a stronger system out here over the Bering Sea. Today, front roughly in about that location, warm front here out to the east, just possibly bringing some precipitation in toward Nikolsky. Nothing into the Pribilofs, just cloudy skies this afternoon. And also for the eastern Aleutians there, and some breaks over the Alaska Peninsula into Bristol Bay, as well as up into the southwest interior behind this trough here. Some breaks, sunshine, and the sunny areas, of course, warming a little more rapidly than the cloudy areas. Otherwise, fog, low clouds, fog, and some flurries here along the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula, mostly just fog around Nome, and then on up to the Bering Strait, Tin City, same sort of thing. And up to the northwest here, you kick up the winds a little bit, a weak trough, but enough to kick the wind gusts up to 45 miles an hour at Cape Lisburne, and pretty breezy at Point Hope as well, 25 to 35 miles an hour. And areas of snow from about Kivalina up around Point Hope, kind of a general snowfall during the entire day today. And then it starts to taper off. You get up toward Point Lay, nothing on the eastern coast. In fact, clear skies, indicating that this is just cirrus. Clear skies reported at Barter Island. They don't really report anything above 12,000 feet, so that kind of shows you that that is all cirrus up to the northeast there. And Copper River Basin, mostly sunny today, right on down into Prince William Sound. A few clouds around Valdez, but again, the low clouds along the coast there. And this gives a little bit better depiction of that low cloud deck than the previous satellite imagery. But it is a shade farther eastward than even this shows, but staying off the coast of the Panhandle. And then the rain here, light rain amounts around Kodiak Island, mostly showery conditions there into Bristol Bay. And again, very light amounts with this. Nothing as far as snowfall goes, where snowfall did occur, it was all under an inch for the most part. And for tonight, this system will slowly edge eastward, so look for an increase in the clouds to spill into the Cook Inlet, Madanuska, Sitna Valley areas to a lesser extent the farther east you are. So Sitna Valley will see more clouds than the Madanuska Valley will. Also pick up a chance of snow showers possible, mostly along the Alaska Range here. Mixed conditions possibly in the southern Cook Inlet and the Kenai Peninsula. But again, whatever falls will be very light with this weak system. We'll see just an increase in the cloud cover. Strong 1,032 millibar surface high over the central interior, but not looking for a whole lot of clearing with that. Isolated, very light showers here to the northeast, maybe over the White Mountains, and maybe a little bit better chance of some light snow up along the eastern Brooks Range toward the eastern Arctic coast. And then this trough slipping eastward, some conditions improving back from Kivalina up to Cape Lisburne. And just a chance of snow though, but winds lighter with this now. Still a little breezy, but nothing like you saw today, which wasn't really all that strong. Out to the west here, we still have this front with gale force winds starting to weaken now as it slides east. There's still a narrow band kind of hanging up over the central Aleutians, actually. Not much of an eastward progression due to this building area of high pressure that's actually occurring out over the Gulf of Alaska aloft as the other upper level high slides off to the southeast. And this trough right here is in between those two features. Doesn't really show up that well, the pattern I just spoke of at the surface here, but you get the general idea. And for tomorrow, since this is kind of lost in between two high pressure ridges aloft, it's really not moving a whole lot. So mostly cloudy skies, isolated showers, could be some clearing here south central Alaska, but generally it won't be as clear and sunny as today, as that upper level center stays just south of Kodiak Island. So chance of showers there as well with partly mostly cloudy skies. A few breaks over the Copper River Basin. Isolated rain or snow showers here depending on your time of day for the Alaska Range. And dry over the interior with increasing amounts of clearing. Tanana Valley up into the upper Yukon Valley, back to the southwest here right on out to the coast. And then again, most of this moisture getting directed northward. So actually the frontal boundary here shifts back to the west as a weak wave right in about this position lifts northward and pulls the whole thing back to the west with a low center staying back to the west. So again, all the action sliding up into the Russian Far East there and just clipping the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island, chance of rain or snow in the afternoon there, and up to the western Arctic coast again, or actually around Point Hope and Cape Lisburne. Maybe to Point Lay, Kivalina staying dry, and clouds with some scattered flurries around the north slope and the Arctic coast with that persistent weak boundary there. There's kind of a flow, a series of weak systems coming over the top of this high that's setting up over the interior. And for the first day of the weekend, looking something like this. Still a chance of showers with this system dropping southeastward now, the upper level system, upper level ridging building in. So we're going to get offshore flow aloft. That's definitely going to clear it out here over southern Alaska. At the surface, really weak flow. So there could be some patchy fog, Cook Inlet, maybe Prince William Sound. More likely though, if that occurs, will be out over the ocean. Mostly sunny conditions, no change for the Panhandle, light winds, maybe some low clouds and fog along the coast, especially the north coast. These showers stay in Canada, north of Chilkoot and White Passes. And a few more clouds up here under that rather strong surface high over the northern interior due to the moisture slipping on by. See a little more active frontal boundary now along the Arctic coast for snow, central Arctic coast. Breezy, light snow possibly for the east side, and another round of some light snow for the west side as well. And an increase in the winds again, could see gusts 45 miles an hour at Cape Lisburne once again. Bering Sea, mostly cloudy, areas of fog here right up to the Bering Strait, increasing south to southeast winds, but it looks like it'll stay under gale force here with this front now, pretty weak with periods of rain continuing there for Adak and Atka, and looks like this pattern will continue right through Sunday as well and be mostly sunny and dry, and you may lose the rain showers and see maybe a few breaks slipping into Kodiak Island. Could see some sun possibly on Sunday, but don't quote me on that. And then for the low temperatures forecast for tonight, 0 to 10 above here for the eastern Brooks Range area to about Anatuvik, lower to mid-teens along the Arctic coast to 20s. Kotzebue Sound, Seward Peninsula, upper 20s, St. Lawrence Island. and 30 to 35 or maybe even upper 30s along portions of the southeast coast. 28 to 33 south central Alaska. Again, a little more cloud cover. That'll help keep the temperatures up above freezing in some areas. Upper 30s Kodiak Island. Tanana Valley 25 to 30, 31 or maybe even 32 degrees for your lows. And then the highs for Friday afternoon, 45 to 50, Susitna Valley in the northern Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula, 48 to 52 here for the King Salmon area, northeast Bristol Bay. And highs in the Panhandle, probably like you saw today, anywhere from upper 40s to mid 50s, north and then south, 50s to lower 60s, again, give or take, but really nice conditions there. Light winds, definitely no precipitation. Upper 20s to lower 30s for your highs along the Arctic coast, and typical lower 40s here for the central Aleutians, mid 40s along the Alaska Peninsula. And then your lows for Saturday morning. Shaping up like this, again, staying above zero, getting close though, but staying on this side of zero for Arctic Village. That's about the coldest area, 3 above zero. And then teens, mid-teens, eastern Arctic coast warming into the lower to mid-20s here as you slide southwestward to upper 20s, lower 30s for the Seward Peninsula, lower 30s, Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, on down to the Pribilofs, 35 for the low, 30s for the Aleutians, and lower 30s again for south central Alaska, some areas in the upper 20s, and 30s for the Panhandle. Highs for Saturday afternoon looking pretty good. Really not much change here in the temperature pattern through the weekend, or at least through the first day of the weekend there for the Panhandle, with again your highs warmest in the south with 55 to 63 and 45 to 50 again. Mananuska, Susitna Valley here, although increasing sunshine, so maybe some lower 50s possible. King Salmon, lower 50s, otherwise in the 40s, 45 to 50 for the Kuskokwim Delta, and upper 20s to the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast, with highs in the 40s for the Aleutians.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic here. Lots of IFR out over the central eastern Bering Sea, right up to the southwest coast, into Bristol Bay. Another band up western Cook Inlet, eastern slopes of the, well, right along the Alaska Range, into the interior. And then another zone out here in the Gulf of Alaska, eastward, right almost to the coast of the Panhandle, but VFR for the southeast coast. Tomorrow afternoon stays VFR here over the Panhandle, and the lower conditions pull back to the west a little bit, and the IFR staying off the coast here, except for maybe Middleton Island, but marginal VFR up into the eastern Copper River Basin, Wrangell Mountain areas. North of the Alaska Range should be mostly VFR, and a zone of VFR out here to the west, otherwise marginal in between up to the Brooks Range. And a big zone of IFR continues right along the coast here from the Bering Strait all the way down to Togiak Bay, Cape Newenham, and then back across the Pribilofs into the west central Aleutians. And for Saturday morning, got IFR out here over the western Bering into the Adak-Atka area. Area of VFR between that zone and then this zone that's hanging along the southwest coast here, actually pushing inland over the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta, and again eastward, probably staying west of Dillingham, but right on up into the Bering Strait again. Better conditions, still looking kind of marginal-ish over the interior, and IFR south of the North Gulf Coast and west of the Panhandle. For the afternoon, VFR again, all the southeast coast here, now into the interior as well. Cook Inlet, northern Cook Inlet. Looks like marginal VFR still possible for the southern Kenai Peninsula, on down to Fognac Island into Bristol Bay, and then IFR here again along the Yukon Delta coast into Vac Island from the Pribilofs through the Bering Strait, now up into the northwest interior, all the way to the central Arctic coast and the southern slopes of the western Brooks Range for passes. Looking like this, Sanatuvik slowly improving, marginal VFR to start, becoming or trending toward VFR into the afternoon. Same forecast for Adigan as well. And for Lake Clark and Merrill, IFR trending toward marginal conditions, so slow improvement throughout the day. And rainy, IFR becoming marginal. And for windy, IFR becoming VFR, possibly by noon or sooner. And for Isabel, occasional marginal VFR there. And Mintasta, VFR. Tanita, same forecast, VFR. And for Portage, starting out marginal, becoming VFR in the morning, possibly could be VFR from morning till the afternoon or through the entire day, and Chilkoot and White will be VFR all day long on Friday. Freezing levels 2,000 to 4,000 feet here over the northern southeast coast, and not much different on down to the south, maybe trending toward 5,000. And out in the Bering Sea here, southerly flow, we've got 6,000 feet up to the Adak-Atka area, 2,000 feet all the way up to about St. Matthew Island, roughly. And then at a cool trough right in through here, keeping the lower freezing levels down to the south, then back up to 2,000 for Kodiak. Icing, not a lot. We've got that weak disturbance coming in, hanging up along the Alaskan Range, back down in toward Kodiak. Could be some isolated, scattered areas of icing, at least just a slight threat here of rime icing, and be on the light, no moderate. And then maybe some isolated moderate out over the west central Aleutians, and also from St. Lawrence Island up across the Bering Strait to the western Arctic coast. Jet stream, general area high pressure here across all of Alaska into western Canada. Got a weak system right through here and kind of a trough axis here that's going to be coming through, but really won't have much effect. 9,000 foot winds shows up better there southwest of Shelikof Strait. Strong southerly winds out here between this higher pressure over to the east and then the storminess out to the west. 40 to 70 knots, 25 to 40 over the northern Bering, and pretty breezy along the Arctic coast there. 30 to 35 knots, light over the Panhandle and southern Alaska. 3,000 feet, light breezes out a variable direction there for the Panhandle. All of southern Alaska in the light wind flow, light and variable, but 30 to 40 knots up there over the north slope in the Arctic coast, and south to southwest 25 to 50 central Aleutians into the Bering Strait area. And taking a look at turbulence, we've got moderate chop, pretty likely here west central Aleutians all the way out to Shemya, also for St. Lawrence Island, and it looks pretty bumpy here over the northwest all the way around and along the Arctic coast. And after the segment, I'll return with a look at the ice edge and the marine forecasts.
Ophi who? Welcome to Stargazers. I'm Dean Regas, astronomer from the Cincinnati Observatory.
And I'm James Albury, director of the Kika Silva Pla Planetarium in Gainesville, Florida. At this time last year, Dean and I talked about the 13th constellation of the zodiac.
That's right, James, and the sun spends almost 2 weeks in the constellation during the month of December.
Unfortunately, this constellation was eliminated from the zodiac, and personally, I think it's because it has a funny name.
What are we talking about? Let's show you. There are currently 88 officially recognized constellations in modern astronomy. 12 of these constellations have particular significance because during the course of a year, the sun, moon, and planets appear to drift in an eastward direction across these background stars. The constellations along this path are referred to as the zodiac.
Zodiac, loosely translated, means circle of animals, and the constellations of the zodiac in order are as follows: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpius, Sagittarius, Capricornus, Aquarius, and Pisces.
However, between Scorpius and Sagittarius, there's actually a 13th constellation that the sun passes through on its journey. In reality, the Earth is the one doing the traveling. The sun just appears to move through the constellations as we orbit.
This constellation is Ophiuchus, and he is often represented as a man holding a snake. The nearby constellations Serpens Cauda and Serpens Caput. His name is derived from the Greek for serpent bearer.
According to legend, Ophiuchus was the son of Apollo and was an expert in the art of medicine. One day, Ophiuchus killed a snake. No sooner had he done this, a second snake came along with a medicinal herb in its mouth. The live snake gave the dead snake the herb, restoring the dead snake to life. After seeing this, Ophiuchus collected the herb from the snake, and from that point was able to restore life to the dead.
Pluto, the god of the netherworld, didn't like the fact that Ophiuchus had this ability, and he complained to Jupiter. Jupiter sent his pet eagle Aquila after Ophiuchus with a lightning bolt. The lightning bolt struck Ophiuchus, killing him. Jupiter, not wanting Ophiuchus' knowledge to fade into oblivion, placed the medically gifted serpent bearer among the stars.
Before being brought into the heavens, Ophiuchus became good friends with Orion the hunter. Years later, Orion, boasting about what a great hunter he was, decided to prove his ability by killing all the creatures of Earth. Gaia, the goddess of the earth, sent Scorpius the scorpion to stop him. The resulting sting from the scorpion killed Orion.
Ophiuchus, seeing what happened and having the power to restore life, revived Orion and asked Jupiter to place Orion on the opposite side of the sky, away from the scorpion. Ophiuchus promised to keep watch over the scorpion so it wouldn't try to escape, and to this day, the star marking the foot of Ophiuchus can be seen just above Scorpius. This star is along the path the sun travels during the month of December, thus making him, albeit unofficially, one of the constellations of the zodiac. So, let's check out what's happening next week with the planets.
Okay, we have our sky set up for shortly before sunrise on Saturday, April 6th. If you look to the south, you'll see the giant planet Jupiter among the stars of Ophiuchus. Jupiter entered Ophiuchus back in December 2018 and will be hanging out with the Serpent Bearer well into November of this year.
A little further towards the east, in the constellation of Sagittarius, we see the ringed planet Saturn. Saturn has its northern hemisphere tilted toward us right now. So if you have a telescope handy, make sure you check it out. The rings will look exquisite.
Way over towards the east, we have Mercury and Venus in the constellation of Aquarius. Both planets will both be fairly close to the horizon, so you'll have to time your viewing just right. We have good news though. Mercury should stand out since Aquarius doesn't have many bright stars. Plus, Venus is nearby to help you find it.
So there you have it, a little backstory on a constellation with a funny name that doesn't get nearly the attention it should.
Say hi to Ophiuchus this week as you keep looking up.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at today's sea ice analysis. Sea ice since Monday has taken quite a jog to the north here from just a short ways north of St. Matthew Island to now just a short ways south of St. Lawrence Island and pretty thin into Norton Sound. And that trend of south to north flow here is going to continue for at least probably through the weekend, if not beyond, but maybe not as strong as over the next 24 hours. But anyway, it's going to continue to get pushed back to the north. And for coastal water forecast on the south coast of the Panhandle, north to northwest, 15 to 20 knots, seas at about 7 feet. North 10, pretty light over the inside waters actually. Variable at 10, pretty much does it with 2-foot seas. For tomorrow, northwest 15 here on the north coast. And then for Saturday, 15 to 20 knot winds here on the north coast, turning north at 20 knots sustained for the central and south coast. Really light winds Clarence Strait, northwest at 5, 15 knot winds for both Stevens Passage and Lynn Canal, 3-foot seas. Prince William Sound, west at 10 with slight seas. Variable winds at 10 for the North Gulf Coast, northeast at 10 for the Barren Islands into Chemishak Bay, as well as Cook Inlet, all light out of the northeast with slight seas. And then for Saturday, north 10 for Cook Inlet, again, seas 1 to 2 feet, 3-foot seas with 10-knot winds for Chemishak Bay. Same thing for the Barren Islands, north to northwest, light, 10 knots for the North Gulf Coast, as well as Prince William Sound, those seas running 2 feet and the Sound to 3 feet along, or out over the coastal zone. And for Kodiak, north 10 tomorrow for both Shelikof Strait and the east side. North winds at 10 knots from Sitkinak all the way down to Cape Sarachef, then southeast 15 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula, back to north at 10 for Bristol Bay. Outlook for Saturday, east 15 for the Alaska Peninsula, northeast 15 for Bristol Bay, and easterlies at 15 knots here, Castle Cape to Sitkinak, as well as Kodiak Island. And for the Fox Islands tomorrow, small craft advisories here. Most of them, except south of Unalaska Island, just south at 15, otherwise 25 to 30 knots. Gales pushing into the central Aleutians with that slow-moving frontal boundary. Southeast 35, become back around to the south at 35 toward the western Aleutians. And then for Saturday, we're looking at south to southeast, 25 to 30 knots for the western half of the Aleutians, southeast 30, a little bit stronger, but down under gale force now for the Adak-Yatka area, seas 12 to 19 feet, and winds subsiding down to 20 knots from the east-southeast front Alaska Island. And for the southwest coast, southeast 25 to 30 knots here, and that extends right up across St. Lawrence Island, 20 knots for Norton Sound. South winds 30 knots here for the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island. As we'll see, that pattern continues for the most part. Kind of some undulation around, speeds come down to 20 knots here with more of a southeast direction on the winds for the Pribilofs. Southeast 30, St. Matthew Island. Otherwise, east-southeast at 20 for the southwest coast, and brisk wind advisories, south 25, St. Lawrence Island. And for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast tomorrow, brisk wind advisories here for the east side all the way over to Demarcation Point. West 25 knots, west 20 on the central coast, even lighter on the west side. Cape Thompson to Cape Beaufort, 15 knot southerlies, and then south of Cape Thompson to Wales, brisk wind advisories, south winds at 25. And for Saturday, look for an increase in those winds again, a little more active frontal boundary here along the coast, so the winds pick up all locations, really uniform in the forecast here. Southwest 30 knots, brisk wind advisories in all the zones here, and south winds about the only variation there from Cape Thompson to Wales. And for tonight's forecast, again, we've got this really weak upper level trough here with a weak surface low south of Kodiak Island right under the upper level low. So look for some more clouds, scattered precipitation, really light and isolated here, mostly over the mountainous terrain, trying to slip into south central Alaska, the Kenai Peninsula, to a lesser extent up here to the north. Strong high pressure at the surface, keeping storminess to the west and up and over the top to the north there. No change for the panhandle. And for Friday, tomorrow, this weak system kind of lost in the flow there, so it's going to get hung up here over south central Alaska. And chance of risk of showers, mostly cloudy. Kodiak up into the Susitna Valley, mostly sunny or partly to mostly over the interior. More clouds, flurries, north slope to the Arctic coast. And then this system edging in toward the east, we'll see actually gets pushed back to the west with developing high pressure over interior Alaska. This system drops to the south, mostly sunny and dry for the interior through the weekend.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.